My name is Eleanor Whitman. I'm 31 years old. I didn't know my relationship was already over when my boyfriend suggested brunch. He said it casually, like it was nothing special. Just something relaxed before the weekend, he said. He even smiled. We were 6 weeks away from our wedding. 4 years together, 8 months engaged. Nothing in my body registered danger. The restaurant was loud in that curated way. Soft jazz, clinking glasses, the smell of citrus and butter in the air. His 3 closest friends were already there when we arrived, mimosas half finished, laughter rolling easily across the table. They were talking about wedding details, seating charts, songs, who would cry first. I remember thinking, this is nice, normal, safe. Then he went quiet. Not dramatic, not tense, just still. One of his friends leaned forward. You okay? He nodded, took a breath, and turned to me. I need to say something. For half a second, my mind raced. Pregnancy scare, nerves, maybe a venue issue. Instead, he said it. I'm calling off the wedding. The words landed softly, almost politely. I don't love you anymore. The waiter was setting down my plate. Eggs Benedict, steam rising. The timing was absurd enough to feel fake. Someone gasped, someone covered her mouth. I didn't move. I didn't cry. I counted silently. 1, 2, 3. Then I felt it. Calm, cold, clean. Thank you for your honesty, I said. I held out my hand. The ring, please. He blinked. What? The engagement ring, I repeated. It belonged to my grandmother. Every eye was on us. Slowly, clumsily, he pulled it off and placed it in my palm. I stood up. Well, I said evenly, this changes things. I was going to host a wedding reception in 6 weeks. Now I'll be hosting a dodged-a-bullet party instead. A few nervous laughs. Oh, and about the wedding deposits? The $62,000 you insisted on putting entirely in your name to prove your independence? His face drained of color. Those are all yours now. Congratulations. Silence. And the apartment, I added. You never signed the lease. You'll need to move out by the end of the month. Someone whispered, Oh no. I pulled out my phone. My uncle was planning to gift us $150,000, conditional on the marriage. That's gone too. I placed $40 on the table for the untouched food. Enjoy brunch. Then I walked out. I've been sitting in my car for 20 minutes now. My hands are shaking, but I meant every word. The shaking didn't start until later. At first, it was just quiet. The kind that feels padded, like the world has been wrapped in cotton, so nothing can touch you. I drove home on autopilot, parked, sat there longer than necessary, and went upstairs without really arriving. 2 hours later, my phone detonated. Missed calls, voicemails, texts stacking on top of each other so fast my screen lagged. His friends first, then numbers I didn't have saved, then, inevitably, his family. His mother called 3 times before I picked up. You can't just abandon him like this, she said the second I answered. No greeting, no pause. Her voice was already trembling with outrage. You were supposed to get married. That money was for both of you. He called off the wedding, I said, keeping my voice level, publicly. That doesn't mean you leave him drowning in debt. The deposits are in his name, I replied, at his insistence. She inhaled sharply, like I'd slapped her. He assumed you'd help. He assumed you were a team. He assumed wrong. She cried then, loud, heaving sobs, called me heartless, said I was ruining her son's life, and hung up on me like I was the one who'd done something shameful. His sister texted next. He's having a panic attack. The wedding costs are going to destroy him financially. Are you really going to let that happen? I stared at the message longer than necessary before typing back. He really called off our wedding at brunch in front of his friends and expected me to still fund it? 3 dots appeared, disappeared. Yes, that was it for me. I blocked her. Monday evening, he showed up at my apartment. I didn't open the door. I didn't need to. I watched him through the security camera pacing the hallway, ringing the buzzer again and again like persistence might rewrite reality. Finally, I answered the intercom. We need to talk, he said, voice already breaking. No, we don't. Please, he whispered. I made a mistake. I was overwhelmed. I didn't mean it like that. You said you didn't love me anymore, I replied. At brunch, in front of an audience. I was scared. I didn't think... You thought enough to say it publicly. Silence. Then the pivot. What about the wedding costs? He asked. You have to help me. I can't afford $62,000. You should have thought about that before calling off the wedding. This is financial abuse, he snapped suddenly, anger bleeding through the panic. I laughed, out loud. Financial abuse? I repeated. You put everything in your name. You insisted. I'm just not rescuing you from the consequences. I'll sue you, he said weakly. For what? I asked. Not marrying you? He cried for another 10 minutes in the hallway before leaving. Tuesday, his best friend, the one who was supposed to stand beside him as best man, called me. "I know he handled this badly," she said carefully, "but he's drowning. Can't you help with some of the deposits?" "Why would I?" "Because you loved him." Past tense, I corrected. She tried guilt. She tried nostalgia. She tried telling me I was being cold. I told her I was being finished. Wednesday morning, the email from his lawyer arrived. Formal, condescending, demanding I pay my share of the wedding expenses due to mutual understanding of shared financial responsibility. My lawyer's response was 2 paragraphs long. Expenses were in his name at his insistence. He unilaterally ended the engagement. No shared obligation exists. Declined. His lawyer replied with threats, promissory estoppel, unjust enrichment, vague legal posturing meant to scare. My lawyer called me that afternoon. "He has no case," she said calmly. "If he sues, any judge will toss it." "How much to defend?" I asked. 5 to 10,000, probably less. I didn't hesitate. "Defend everything," I said. "I'm not giving him a cent." Here's the part everyone keeps missing. He didn't just end the engagement. He did it publicly, at brunch, in front of his friends, with maximum humiliation. They laughed when I said I'd throw a party instead. They thought I was pathetic. But when reality hit, when they realized he'd ruined himself financially, suddenly I was the villain for not cleaning up his mess. No, he wanted independence. He got it. The dodged-a-bullet party invitations went out that night. 30 people confirmed within hours, and something in my chest finally loosened. By Friday, the story everyone was telling about me had settled into something neat and ugly. I was cold. I was vindictive. I was punishing a man for getting scared. That version almost worked, until the truth surfaced. It came from a mutual friend I hadn't heard from in months. We grabbed coffee, the kind of meeting that starts casual and ends with someone leaning in too close and lowering their voice. "There's more," she said. "You deserve to know." Apparently, the brunch wasn't spontaneous. The calm delivery wasn't courage, and the timing wasn't accidental. He'd been talking to someone else. Not physically, at least not yet, but emotionally. Texts every day, lingering conversations after workouts, a woman from his gym, his ex-girlfriend. They'd dated years ago, before me. Nothing dramatic, just unfinished enough to feel tempting when routine set in. For 3 months, he'd been telling himself it wasn't cheating because nothing physical had happened. He thought he was falling in love, so he did what he considered honest. He blew up our life in public to pursue his truth. There was just one problem. Once the breakup became real, once the $62,000 in wedding debt became impossible to ignore, his ex-girlfriend disappeared. Blocked, ghosted, gone. Turns out she wasn't interested in inheriting chaos. By the time I heard all this, the pieces snapped together with a clarity that almost hurt. The panic, the desperation, the sudden lawsuits and accusations. He wasn't heartbroken. He was cornered. The calls escalated again. His sister showed up at my building one evening and waited in the lobby until I came home from work. 5 minutes, she begged. "Please." Against my better judgment, I agreed. She looked exhausted, eyes sunken, hands shaking. "He's not sleeping," she said. "He's lost weight. Debt collectors are already calling." "That's unfortunate," I replied. She flinched. "He knows he screwed up. He knows he hurt you. But this is ruining his life." "What punishment?" I asked quietly. "I'm not doing anything to him." "You could help," she said. "You have the money." "I have money because I didn't call off my own wedding and leave myself with unpayable debt." She swallowed. "He thought you'd always be there." "He was right," I said, until he humiliated me in public. Then she tried one last thing. "The $150,000 from your uncle," she said carefully. "Couldn't you ask him to give it anyway, just to help him stabilize?" I stared at her. "You want me to ask my uncle for 6 figures, I said slowly, "to give to the man who dumped me at brunch so he can clean up the mess he made chasing another woman?" She burst into tears. "You're being cruel." "No," I said, "I'm being fair. She made big choices. She gets big consequences." I stood up. "Don't come back." The following week was escalation. A formal lawsuit was filed. Breach of promise, emotional distress, anything they could throw at the wall. My lawyer wasn't impressed. "This is a nuisance suit," she said. "He's desperate." "How much if it goes to trial?" I asked. 8 to 12,000, but I doubt it'll get that far. "Proceed," I said, "all of it." Then, Thursday night, he crossed a line. Someone let him into my building. He banged on my door like volume could force forgiveness. I didn't open it. I called security. They escorted him out while he shouted about his rights and how I was destroying his life. The building manager called me later. "She's banned," he said. If she comes back, we're calling the police. I thanked him and slept better than I had in weeks. Meanwhile, the party planning continued. 32 confirmed guests, a banner ordered, a space booked. I wasn't celebrating his downfall. I was celebrating my escape. The party happened on a Saturday night. Low lighting, warm noise, the kind of bar that feels like a collective exhale. I arrived early, helped tape the banner to the brick wall myself. Dodged a bullet, a celebration. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't cruel, it was honest. 32 people showed up. Friends, family, co-workers, even 2 of his friends. Women who pulled me aside quietly to apologize for laughing at brunch, for not understanding in the moment how brutal what he'd done really was. My best friend raised a glass. To Eleanor, she said, voice steady, for dodging not just a bullet, but an entire firing squad, and for having the spine not to pay $62,000 for the privilege of being dumped in public. Laughter, cheers, relief. I smiled for photos. I didn't tag him. I didn't mention him. I didn't need to. He saw them anyway. I know because his mother called me the next morning. "How dare you mock my son publicly?" she shouted. "I threw a party," I replied. "I didn't mention him once." "That banner, those pictures, you're humiliating him." "He humiliated himself," I said calmly. "I'm just living my life." She cried, told me he was talking about bankruptcy. "I understand exactly what that means," I said. "That's what happens when you take on debt you can't afford and lose the person you assumed would save you." "Just help him," she begged. "You could stop all of this." "Why?" I asked. "Because he dumped me publicly, because he insisted on financial independence, because he tried to bully me into paying anyway, because he sued me frivolously." "Pick a reason," I said softly. She hung up. A week later, the lawsuit was dismissed. The judge didn't take long. He reviewed the contracts, heard who initiated the breakup, noted whose name was on the deposits, and tossed the case. He told his lawyer to advise his client to stop wasting the court's time. Legal fees and tone worth every dollar. His final attempt came through my parents. He showed up at their house crying. My father answered the door. According to Dad, he begged, said he was losing everything, asked if my parents could help since we were basically family. My father didn't hesitate. "You called off the wedding," he said. "You're not family, and my daughter doesn't owe you anything." Then he closed the door. When Dad told me later, he smiled. "I'm proud of you," he said. "A lot of people would have caved." Current status? He moved back in with his parents. Working 2 jobs, credit destroyed, debt consolidation pending. Me? I have my grandmother's ring back. I'm having it appraised. I don't need the memory attached to it anymore. My apartment is quiet. My finances are intact. My life feels aligned again. Someone asked me recently if I ever feel tempted to help him now that it's over. No, because this was never about money. It was about respect. He wanted independence. He wanted honesty. He wanted to pursue something else. He got all of it. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. And when they try to turn their problem into yours, sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let them solve it themselves. The party was a success. Best money I've spent in years.